Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation of the terminal application project, which is a MemPal, and this application is a memory palace application. So let's start with the topic. So I'm gonna go through with an introduction of the application and the real-life problem that it's gonna solve, and I'm gonna give you a walkthrough of the application and the code. And I'm gonna walk through the feature of create new memory palace and viewing, editing, and playing a mini game. And then I'm gonna give you an overview of the development process and the challenge, ethical issue, and favorite part. So let's start with the introduction. So this application, which is called MemPal, is a terminal application that allows users to create and manage their own memory palace. And what is memory palace? Memory palace is just a memory technique that involve associate information with a location, like some location that you know quite well, and you're gonna use that to enhance your memory. And the problem with the memory palace users, they don't have the tool to actually create and store those memory palace and also to test and have it on in one place. And this application gonna solve that problem on those three problems. So I'm gonna give you a walkthrough of my terminal application. Let me open the application. So this is the code of the function. This is code of the main file. So there's three main file for this application: the main file, the function file, and the MemPal CSV. Okay, let's start the application. So if I run the application, it's gonna show you this message. So this is the main page, the first page, and it's gonna show you four options right there. If you choose just it, it's gonna show the thank you message. Okay, let's start with number one. So number one is to create a new one. So it's gonna start with asking the name. So if I choose to put the name is dog, let's start with memory palace dog. Yeah, and then it's gonna ask for the locus like the loci. So loci number one, I'm gonna put run, and it's gonna keep asking until you choose to finish. So if you choose to add another one, yeah, then we have two loci. So I choose to finish. That's how you use the first feature. So let's move on to the second feature. So the second feature is it's gonna show you the list of memory palace in a descending order. So it's gonna show the memory palace with the best score on top and the worst score at the bottom. So if you choose one of the memory palace, which is choose number 4, it's gonna show you the loci list inside. You can see that we enter run and it in there. We can choose to keep adding by choosing I, and you can choose to edit. So it's gonna ask you which locus you want to edit. So let's say number 2. So what you want to have a new locus name. So let's say sleep, and then it's gonna save there. So if you choose to go back, to number 2, and if you choose to go back to number 4, you can see it's changed to sleep. So if you choose to delete, it's gonna ask for the locus number, and it's gonna delete that one. And if you choose to remove the memory palace, it's gonna delete the whole thing. So yeah, that's basically the view edit function. So let's move on to the mini game. So this is the mini game. So like the same way you see the list in the view edit, now you see the list of memory palace again. Um, you can see the score. You can see like which one you want to test. Let's choose number 1, and it's gonna ask you a random question. And the number question is gonna be like 75% of the number of loci. So let's answer the question. Let's say this is the answer, and I receive a score of 42%. And then the score gonna reflect in the list. So let's say if I go back to number 2 to view memory palace, it's gonna show 56%. The 56% is actually yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, that's the update score for the memory palace that we just test recently. Yep. Okay. Okay. That is the walkthrough of the application. Let me walk through the code for you. Um, I'm gonna try to make it short, just to go through the main code and the main function. So let's start with the main file. The main file, this is the code. So the code here is fairly simple. So the menu and the while loop for you to call the function, and the function is gonna be import from here. So the function here. So this is where it shows the menu. This is where they check if there's a file, and if the file is not there, it's going to create a new file for memory palace MemPal CSV. So in the function, let's start with the add function. So the add function is fairly simple. This is the function that is going to be used in the create MemPal and the view edit MemPal for the option add add new function. So you can see this is the new one. But there's a few code that I make is this one right here. So when we create a new memory palace, I add 2 elements of 0 at the end. This is represent the scores of the memory palace list. Let me show you. Okay, so you can see here, every memory palace have a name, which is the first one, and then the list of loci, which is the middle one, and the last 2 element is actually the score, represent the score. So in the function, every new memory palace is gonna be created to have those 2 score, and I'm gonna explain later why I use those 2 score. So let's go to the next one. So for view edit function, you can see there's a code right here to check if there's a memory palace in place. So if there's no memory palace in the MemPal CSV, it's gonna return you to the manual file. And this code right here is the one that I use to sort the code in a descending order by the score. Okay, and let's move on. Let's see. So yeah, that's the part, and there's a while loop here. Like this while loop is to keep asking until you choose the valid option, which is if you have 4 memory palaces, you need to choose like one from 1 to 4. If you choose outside that, or if you put like a characteristic like A, B, C instead of a number, it's gonna return an error. So this while loop is to handle the error. And once you choose the valid option, it's gonna show the memory palace, the name and the loci, and then it's gonna ask you to choose the option. So this is the place where you choose to add and edit the memory palace. But the new memory palace, this function right here is the one that I spend more time. The new memory palace gonna be, as you can see, the new one gonna have the same name, but the new loci list, and it's gonna keep the last two score right there. So it's not gonna touch the last the score. So it's gonna change the loci, but not the name and not the score. So that is something to note. And for the minigame, there's a few functions in the minigame that is the same to the view edit, which is the CSV right there, is to check if there's a CSV file, and it's gonna show the memory palace list in the descending order, and then it gonna so again it's gonna keep asking until you choose the correct memory palace number, and then this is where I do the scoring. So remember that I mentioned I create 2 elements at the end of the list for the scoring. This is because in the scoring function I choose to have the score to be saved as an average of the recent score and the previous score, and it will save into the CSV file, and this is the code to update that. Okay, so I'm just gonna move to the next one because we are running out of time, and yep, let's move to the next slide. So I'm just gonna give you a quick overview of the development process. So I start with the idea, and yeah, once I choose the memory palace idea, then I move on to create the feature of the idea. So we have 3 feature, and then I choose to do the project management in Trello, and then I start coding. So to start coding, I start with the folder structure to have the doc presentation, the source code, the source folder, and then I create a simple README file with a simple framework to follow. Also at the same time, create a simple implementation plan, and then from there I start coding and start with the manual. So the starting part is easy. So you start with the menu to display just print function, display the option 1 to 4, and then you start with adding the memory palace in the list. But then it's get harder and harder, and it requires me to edit the the create function, and later on I need to create a separate function for add new memory paths, and also like to fix again when it comes to the minigame. So for the challenge, ethical issue, and favorite part, I would say the hardest part is the testing, because lots of research and reading has and time spent to just understanding how to do this test for this application, and because the application has become fairly complicated. So not just the Pi test has been used, but also the manual test has been done to speed up the process. For example, for the view edit, I test if it can run from viewing to finish, and I test the edit and delete, remove manually. So the more enjoying part is the idea implementation plan, is where you think about the idea and where you think what can be added into the application. This is quite time consuming, but it's also the most enjoying part. And the favorite part is the coding itself. It's you start small, but then you start to see the problem and the issue in the process. So for the ethical part, I would say I'm aware of the ethical principle of the use of ChatGPT. I understand there's a potential risk, plagiarism and privacy violation when using the AI generated code. For full disclosure, 90 to 95% of the code is done without the assistance of ChatGPT, because the code is I think about it's kind of the same to-do list, but in a more complicated way, and there's a mini game involved. And for full disclosure, I use ChatGPT for Lambda sorting code. I'm stuck there for styling, for adding note into the code, for testing test number 3, which still fail. But I use ChatGPT to help with testing one of the tests. And more importantly is the CSV sorting and indexing, like the way that I put the name and the loci and the score in the CSV file is with the help of ChatGPT. And all the research is done like carefully, and ChatGPT has been used carefully and purely for the purpose of obtaining deep understanding and to help me understand the issue when I hit the roadblock, when I hit the pain point where I'm struggling. Okay, so that's all of my presentation. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, thank you for watching.